can get by without it, but we do need a blanket or a towel for the practice today. Full hour practice, so we will be fitting in the core strength, joint mobility, um, joint warm up, muscle warm up. We'll be working on balance and lower body muscular activation in some of the poses. And listen for options. So if something feels too challenging for you at this moment, or you're taking care of your knees or your hips or your back or your shoulders, there's always options. And my philosophy, I guess you should say, is that there's always a way to do the same. There's always a way to get to the same intention that I'm offering, but through a different way. So there could be other ways that work better for your body to get the hamstring stretch, to activate the glute maximus, to work the core. So listen for options that I offer, but take your own if I don't offer what you need. We are going to start on our backs. And we'll start in some stillness. So whatever position feels comfortable to you here, you could even have a prop under your knees, like a bolster or rolled blanket, or legs could be straight or a butterfly position. We'll be here for a couple of minutes with the spine parallel to the earth. So there's no gravitational force of compression going down through the spine. And in fact, here, especially if the hips and knees are bent, gravity actually creates more space. It decompresses the spine. So this can feel good if you have had a long day on your feet, if you've exercised a lot, a long workout or rowing session. Take a moment here and notice that sensation in your spine. Maybe you can feel that sense of decompression, that creation of space between the vertebrae here. Might be subtle. By the time we are 35, we already start to lose height in the discs in between our vertebrae. There's already compression there of the disc, and even the quality of the disc changes. It's a little bit more fibrous, less shock absorbing. We're doing things like this to decompress the spine naturally, and also strengthening the core. Core muscle is decompressing the spine, which we'll do in a little bit. Bring your attention to your breath now. So luckily for us, breathing is an automatic function, part of the nervous system that we don't have to think about. But sometimes, and in this practice specifically, it's helpful to focus on the breath to keep you centered, but also to use the breath to support, activate musculature, release and let go of tightness and tension. Breathing through the nose, start to lengthen the breath, slow it down a bit. Breathing through the nose here, both inhale and exhale. Take the next few breaths, setting an intention for your practice. So remembering the reason you've shown up today. Why are you setting this time aside for yourself? Feeling stronger? Is it about letting go of tension? Is it about feeling better? reconnecting the mind and body. If none of that is speaking to you, perhaps you offer your practice to someone who needs positive thoughts and energy. So bringing your thoughts to that person. Setting this intention, this thought, this reason for your being here, this person you'd like to dedicate your practice to, bringing this thought to the front of your mind, breathing with intention. We'll start to move here on our backs, pulling the knees gently in towards you, kind of hugging in a little bit to open up through the very low back and start to rock gently here side to side. So it's probably a pretty small little rocking motion. And you don't have to hug the knees in really tight here. We'll bring this back in through center. Keep holding on to one knee as you reach the other foot up towards the ceiling. Notice here how the low back is pressed into the ground just by the position of the legs. Keep the low back pressed into the ground, and we're going to lower the straightened knee almost to the floor. And then we bend that knee and pull it back in. So you make a kind of a cycling motion, inhaling the leg up and start to lower it down. Exhale, pull it in. So that circling motion, keeping the low back pressed into the ground. You don't have to hug that knee in super tight. Keep the breathing here. Activating some of the core muscles here and hip flexors as well. We'll pull that knee back in, switching sides. Other leg goes up. You might not straighten that knee all the way, maybe until you get lower down. Inhaling, lowering it almost to the floor. Exhale, pulling it in and reaching it up. And do a few more here. Notice that I'm going slow motion. And when you work with core strengthening, typically the slower you go, the longer that muscle has to activate, and the more those muscles then tend to act as stabilizers, which is really that's the main job. That's 99% of the work of our core, the abdominal muscles, is to stabilize the spine, the pelvis, rib cage. All right, we'll pull both knees in here, maybe just a gentle hug in, and then lowering the feet down to the floor. Finding a yoga block, and if you don't have one, you could just pretend you have one. And if you want more strength and core work, instead of a yoga block, this could be a small weight, like a 5-pound weight, maybe up to 10 pound. But if you have shoulder issues, then keeping it at the lighter weight or the block. So I'm starting with this block, the hands straight up over my chest. Press the back ribs into the floor. This is going to activate transverse abdominis muscles, so inner layer of abdominals. Lowering the block overhead without letting the front ribs flare towards the ceiling or the back ribs pull away from the floor. And then we pull the hands, the block back up to the starting position. So you inhale, lower the arms overhead, back ribs pressed into the floor. Exhale, pulling this back up. Now you could stay with feet down or do the same thing with feet up. Inhale, lowering the arms, the block. Exhale, pulling it back up. So keep going here. Option is to stay with this, feet up or feet down, or add lowering one foot as the block goes overhead, pulling them both back up to the starting position. You're alternating legs. If you keep the knees bent at about 90 degrees, even as you lower, you're going to be working that core a little bit more. If you'd like more challenge, straighten the leg out, maybe close to parallel to the floor. Adding each of those things is going to make it harder to keep those back ribs pressed into the floor. That's where the challenge comes. So if you add challenge, but your back ribs pull away from the floor, go back to the step before, right? We want challenge, but we don't want to work to failure, meaning muscular failure, not like epic fail stuff. All right, we'll pull it back up. And then pull both knees in. This time hold on to the backs of your thighs. And bring the knees out a little wider, knees a little wider than your rib cage, and just gently rock a little side to side here. So we're in a kind of relaxed, happy baby. If you'd like, as you rock to the right side, stretch that right leg out to the side wall. Come onto your back, go to the left, maybe that left leg stretches out. And side to side. Depending on how tight your hamstrings or the inner thighs, you might not be straightening that knee all the way. If you're like, Lara, this feels good, but a little bit more stretch would feel good, maybe you hold the feet to do that or hold the ankles. But if you got the feet and the ankles, you're like, well, that's really tight, or your tailbone is really reaching up off the floor, go back to the backs of the thighs. And eventually coming back to center. You could either roll to your side or hold the backs of your thighs and rock forward and back. We're eventually going to come all the way up, maybe a few rocks here. We'll come all the way up to hands and knees. You might like to pad the knees with a blanket here. Tabletop where you have knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. And remember your options here. It could be loose fists instead of flat palms, if that feels better on your wrist, or forearms down here on the floor, blocks no pressure on hands and wrist. Hip circles. Shift the hips towards one side and back towards your heels, and then shift the hips towards the other side and forward again. Inhaling as you go to one side and back, exhaling as you go to the other side and forward. And if you'd like a little more sensation of stretch or opening, push your ribs out towards the side a little bit more. Maybe the hips come closer to your heels. A good place to assess how your back is feeling, how the hips are feeling, where there might be some tightness or tension. And it doesn't mean like, let's fix it or work it out right here, but just noticing, observing, and then circle the other way. So a lot of the lifting of the boats, moving from the finish back into the catch position can have a lot of strain on the lower back. So keeping it supple, keeping it strong, important here, not injuring yourself so that you can continue rowing. All right, bringing this back in through center position here. We're doing some cat and cow motions, and we'll do a few of those and then add on with options to add on or keep it simple. So cat and cow, we round through the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone under, and then lift the tailbone, belly towards the floor, chest forward. So we exhale, breathe out, round the back towards the ceiling. There's the cat. Inhaling, tailbone up, belly down, chest forward. There's the cow. And back and forth a few more. And you don't have to push towards the end range of motion. Sometimes that's our initial thought is like, oh, she told me to round it. She told me to arch it. Then I'm going to go all the way. But this is more about warming up and finding some ease of movement. We'll bring this back into center. So option is to keep it right there at that cat and cow, or you could add a little leg lift here. So I'm going to bring one leg back. And as I come into the cow, so I lift the leg, belly down, chest forward. And then the cat, we exhale, round through the back, but pull the knee in, nose toward knee. And again, inhale, lift the leg, chest forward. Exhale, round and pull it in. So you could keep it there, go back to the first one, or add a tiny push-up. So leg lift, chest forward, and then pause. You could do a tiny push-up, elbows out, chest towards the floor, rise back up, and then we exhale, pull it in, nose towards knee. We'll do a few more. Inhale, leg up, chest forward, and optional push-up. Exhale, round and pull it in. One more. Leg up, chest forward, and then optional push-up. Exhale, round and pull it in. All right, lower the knee. Take a moment here, wag the tail, stand up on the knees or sit back, shake out the wrists, roll the shoulders. And of course, we'll do that on the other side here. So finding your tabletop, you could be on your forearms here and then not do the push-up as well if it's bothering the wrist. Other leg back. We inhale, lift the leg, chest forward, belly goes down towards the earth. And then we exhale, round and pull it inward, nose to knee. Inhale, leg up, chest forward. Exhale, round and pull it in, right? So you could keep it there, or that tiny push-up, leg up, little push-up, so chest towards the floor. Press back up, exhale, round and pull it in. Inhale, leg up, chest forward. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, pulling it in. Let's do one or two more here. Last one. Pulling that in. Lowering both knees here. I'd like you to find a child's or a puppy pose. So hips towards heels for child's pose, head coming down. Puppy, remember this one is protective of the spine if you have low bone density, herniated disc, maybe it's hip or knee issue. So it's hips over knees, forehead down. Options here with the arms. If you're in puppy, you can reach your arms forward, but you kind of have to like push away with the hands. That's one option. You could reach forward if you're in child's pose. Maybe hands under forehead here for something a little bit more restful. If you're in the child's pose, you could walk your arms forward, rise up on your fingertips here. So it's almost like you're clawing into the floor. And maybe even tiny finger walking forward here, pressing the hips back. Take a few breaths. Remember, you can rest at any time during the practice. Variation of child's or puppy, or sitting or lying down. Staying here longer or rising up again to the hands and knees position. Tucking your toes under. Mindful of the toe joints, the knee joints here. If you've got some stiffness or pain, your movements might be smaller, but we're shifting our hips towards the heels and then shifting forward again. Exhaling, shifting the hips back. Inhale, shifting forward. And you might start out with smaller movements just to assess and see, how's that big toe joint doing? How do my knees feel with this? Do I want to go bigger? Do I want to go smaller? Is it Goldilocks? Is it just right? So you could stay here, knees grounded, or to open up the calves a little more, shift the hips back, lift the knees, hips up and back, brief down dog. Bend both knees again, lowering them to the floor, shifting forward. So we shift back, optional down dog. Inhale, lowering, shifting forward. A few more here. So next time I come into down dog, I'm going to pause and be here in down dog for a bit. Maybe you keep moving. Maybe you lower your knees and rest here instead of the down dog. Feet about hip distance apart, hands shoulder distance apart. Take a moment here, pedal the feet, or wag the tail. Heels swivel to one side and then the other. Maybe you shake out the head. And eventually settling into the down dog, looking forward, left foot steps between the hands. May not get there on the first go around. Lower the back knee, left hand helping that foot come forward. Option to put a block under that right hand just to give you a little bit more space here. We're bringing the back knee is down for now. Bring that left hand to the knee, and we're going to push with this arm to get a gentle twist in the upper back. So push into that left hand, so you rotate the chest and gaze to the left side, and then release the push. Again, push into the hand, inhale, chest, gaze to the left. Exhale, release. Do a couple more like that. So you're being gentle. You're not necessarily going for like a chiropractic twisting pop. Maybe you get one, but that's not the aim. Pause here in the twist. You could stay with the back knee down or lift it up. You could stay with the hand on the knee for leverage or reach that arm up or reach it back. And then notice where the shoulders are. They kind of hunch towards your ears. See if you can rise out or lengthen the neck out away from the ears. Take one more breath. And then we exhale. Lower that hand down. We'll bring both hands around the front foot and step this into a plank. Lower both knees, keeping the core engaged. Untuck the toes. Lower all the way down to the ground. Point your elbows towards your back pockets to peel the head and chest up off the floor for low cobra. You could press higher if it feels okay to the spine and the wrist. We're making our way to down dogs. Tuck the toes, hips towards the heels, and then lift up into the down dog. Take a few more breaths, maybe pedaling the feet or shaking the head. Any other movements here? Looking forward, it'll be the right foot between the hands, helping it get there. There's no rush. You know where we're headed. Lowering that back knee, maybe a block under that left hand. Here's that push twist. Right hand to the knee. Press it, hand into the knee to look towards your right, and then release the twist. Inhale, press. Looking towards the right, exhale, release. A couple more here. Being gentle. Next time, when you're looking towards the right, pause here. You could stay with this. You don't have to make it more challenging or even different variety. You could lift the back knee. You could reach the right hand up or reach it back here. And then where are the shoulders in relationship to the ears? Are they kind of hunched in? If so, make your neck longer. Feel the shoulder blades on the back ribs. Take another breath. We'll release that. Right hand down to the floor. And we're stepping the back foot to the front foot. Could be one big old step, but it might be a few little hops to get you into forward fold. Listen for some of the options here in that forward fold. It could be the ragdoll, knees a little bent, upper body draped over lower body. Or this one, protective of the spine, hamstrings. It could be feet, wide butt, back, forearms on your thighs. So this version here that I'm demonstrating, the spine is long, no compression going through the disc, the vertebrae, which can be helpful if you have or have had a herniated disc in the low back. If you have low bone density in the low back. If your hamstrings are really tight, this is the version. Either pose, maybe a little sway here, forward, back, side to side. If you're in that ragdoll, maybe backs of hands rest on the floor or yoga blocks or hands on elbows, shake the head out. Bring your weight, shift back to center, bend the knees, strong legs, Rise up to stand on your inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Let it go. Shake out those wrists, roll the shoulders here. And move that blanket out of the way if you were using it to pad your knees. And turn to face the left side of your mat. So we're going to start with our feet just a little shoulder distance. Let's do shoulder distance apart. Toes are facing forward, relatively speaking. They could be slightly turned out. Continuing the warm up here and connecting that breath and movement. This one's called paintbrush hands. And this is one that I've sort of borrowed from Tai Chi. So we'll bring our arms forward. We're relaxed through the wrist. And on your inhale, bring the backs of the hands towards the ceiling. And then we flip our palms forward and sit back. So chest and gaze stay forward. The hands come all the way down. Flip your palms down and inhale, rise back up. You straighten the legs, reach up towards the ceiling with the backs of the hands, palms forward. Exhale, sitting back. Let's do a few more here. So it's like the hands are paint brushes, like you're painting a fence post where you paint from both sides of the brush. Sitting back on the exhale, and then squeeze your glutes, squeeze the buttocks as you inhale, rise up. Let's do one more of these. Staying up here, and then release your arms. Just swing them out or shake them out. And then walk your feet out a little wider. So feet wider than shoulder distance, toes turned out. We're getting ready to come into goddess. This is a wide-legged squat position. You're in charge of how deep you go with this. So we're going to bend through the knees and the hips. It could be just a little bit of bend. You could come down a little bit deeper depending on how your legs are feeling, your fatigue level. This one's called punching goddess. Well, I've named it that. So we're going to put our hands up here. Fists are at our chest. And then we're going to punch the left hand across towards the front of the mat. Now notice my left heel pivoted up off the ground so I don't twist the knee. Bring the heel down and we settle back into the goddess here. And then the other side, right hand punches towards that back of the mat, right heel pivoting off the ground, exhale, settling back into the goddess. And we alternate sides. So it's like we got two opponents here. We punch to the right and then we punch to the left. But pivot on the heel so you don't twist the knee. And go slow, right? So our opponent sees us coming. Or maybe this is like slow motion martial arts movie scene. All right, bring it back into center, pause. All right, straighten the legs, swing it out, shake out your wrists, the fingers here. So now we're pivoting both feet towards the front of the mat. So my right foot is facing the front and I'm gonna pivot my left heel up off so both hips face the front of my mat here. Now you can always shorten the stance and bring that back heel down, but front knee bent. Find this levelness of the pelvis. So often that pelvis tips forward, big arch in the lower back, especially if your hip flexors are tight. Lengthen the tailbone towards the earth. You might need to bend your back knee to get that levelness. Think about reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, shoulders relaxed. And then bring your hands to your front hip bones. Find the front hip bones here. And then go just to the inside of the front hip bones here with your fingers. Imagine you could pull your front hip bones towards each other. Can you feel that transverse abdominis muscle engaging under the fingertips? Keep that, keep breathing, keep that length in the spine. Keep that engagement, but hinge forward from your hips. Pause when the torso comes in line with the back leg. Here we are in arrow pose, slight chin tuck. Keep those front hip bones pulling towards each other. They don't actually move, but the muscle will engage. Let's have our hands hang straight down towards the earth. We'll bring the arms out to the sides, gently hugging the shoulder blades on the back ribs, and then we let the hands come down. Let's do a few more. Inhale, arms sweep out. Exhale, lower. So it's a little bit of a bird flapping its wings. Feel those shoulder blades moving together as you lift the arms up, pulling apart as the hands lower. One more. And then strong legs. Inhale, rise up. Maybe you reach up. And then exhale, step the back foot to the front. Shake out your legs, rolling the shoulders here. But on the other side. So now you're going to face the right side of your mat. I'm going to just switch, which is the front of my mat, so my back doesn't end up to you, but facing the right long edge of your mat. Feet shoulder distance apart here. Toes forward, maybe tiny bit turned out to the side. More paintbrush hands. I'm going to add a layer to this. A layer of paint. All right, so bring your arms forward, relax through the wrist. Inhale, backs of the hands towards the ceiling. Palms forward, exhale, sit back. Keep the chest and gaze forward. Palms down, inhale, reach up. Palms forward, exhale, sit back. As you rise up, squeeze the glutes so they can power the hips coming forward and power the lifting of the torso. All right, here's where I'm going to add on. So we come back up. And then I want you to pivot towards one side. Those toes come up off the ground. We're going to fold over that leg. The opposite knee bends. We rise back up. Go to the other side. Toes up. Exhale over that leg. Opposite knee bends. Inhale, rise up. Come through center. Exhale, sit back. Inhale up. Pivot towards the side. Exhale over that leg. Opposite knee bends. Inhale up. To the other side, exhale over, inhale up. One more time back through center. Stay up, but release your arms. Shake them out a little bit. Roll the shoulders. All right, step your feet out a little wider. Toes now turning out. So the toes are pointing towards the corners of the mat here. Ish, in that direction. Depends on the openness of your hips. Bend through the knees and the hips. All right, find that length in the spine. So tailbone is down and top of the head reaches up. Hands here at your chest. We're going to take that right hand, punch it towards the front of the mat. Right heel pivots up. Exhale, come down through center. Inhale, left hand punches towards the back of the mat. Exhale, center, side to side. Be sure to be pivoting on the ball of the foot. That back heel coming up and turning away from you as you punch, and then coming back inward as you settle into the goddess. Something very powerful about this settling into center, that lowering the hips, the strength in the quads, the levelness of the pelvis here. One more time to each side. All right, straighten the legs, release your arms, shake out the hips a little bit here. Coming into that crescent lunge. So we're going to turn to face the front of the mat, pivot the back heel up, and you might have to step it out to the side or the front foot out a little bit to make space. Remember, you can shorten your stance, back heel down. Tailbone towards the earth, and if this right hip flexor is tight, you might need to bend that back knee a little bit. And then top of the head towards the sky. So this is us using our core to decompress the spine. We literally get like a quarter to a half of an inch here when the transverse abdominis is engaged. Let's engage it a little bit more, a little intentionally here. Find the front hip bones with your fingers and then come just to the inside, like a half an inch or an inch. There's like a triangular space there where the innermost abdominal muscles are not covered by the rectus abdominis or the obliques. Imagine you could pull your front hip bones towards each other. Can you feel those muscles under your fingers engaging? Hopefully. Keep the length in the spine. Hinge forward from your hips. Pause when the torso is in line with the back leg, and you could probably straighten the back knee here. Keep those front hip bones pulled towards each other. Let the hands hang straight from the shoulders. Inhale, sweep the arms out. A shoulder blade squeeze or hugging on the back ribs. Exhale, lower. Let's do 3 or 4 more here. So we're starting to engage these muscles of the upper back. Open the chest. and getting some of your rotator cuff muscles involved here. Having strong rotator cuff muscles is one of the main roots to stability in the shoulder. All right, strong legs, inhale, rise up, maybe arms come up. Exhale, step the back foot to the front foot. Shake out those legs, roll the shoulders there. Come on up to the front of the mat. Or actually, we're getting ready for balance. So if you'd like to come off your mat for a less squishy surface or close to the wall to have a hand, feel free. I'm going to use the yoga block for this. You don't have to have it. It's just a nice prop to get a little feedback here between the hand and the foot. So we're bringing one foot forward, spread those toes, place them down, spread out, shift your weight onto it. The other foot is back, toes are down. So I'm going to put the block in the hand of the front leg, the leg I'm going to have most of the weight on, the other hand to the hip. We'll reach this arm up with the block. Focus the gaze on a non-moving spot straight ahead. Again, if you think tailbone towards the earth, top of the head towards the sky, we engage the core to decompress the spine, and that's going to help us stack joints over joints. You could stay right here. It's already worked. It's already balanced. You could play with lifting that back foot. No, you can always put it back down. You could add this hamstring curl. So you would bend that back knee, reach back with that block, pressing block and heel together just briefly. And then we inhale, reach it back long. So again, exhale, bend the knee, reach back, pressing block and heel together. Inhale, reach it out long. Maybe a couple more here. So that brief little push, just to get a little more hamstring engagement, but also a little core working here. Reach it out long one more time, and then let this go. Shake it out, roll the shoulders. Right, so balance has a lot to do with the foot and the ankle, but it also has a lot to do with your hip strength and your core strength. So which we've all been working towards getting that to activate. So other foot forward, spread your toes, shift your weight onto it. The other foot's going to be back, toes down. Forward leg, the one you're going to have most of the weight on, you're going to have the block up overhead. We'll bring the other hand to the hip. We find this length in the spine, focused gaze, lift the back foot up. You could play with this, right? Stay here or toes down, or add this hamstring curl. So you bend that lifted knee, reach back, press block and heel together, and then inhale to reach it back long. Let's do 3 or 4 more here. Move with the breath. And if you need to touch down with that toe, feel free. If you need to put that hand on the wall, do it. If you need to take a step back, if you need to do a little bit less to actually get more. Sometimes it's hard to figure that out, right? Our ego wants us to do more. All right, let the foot come down, block down, shake it out, roll the shoulders, walk it off a little bit. You can put that block down here. Come on up to the front of the mat. Inhale, get taller, reach up. Exhale, find that forward fold, forearms to thighs or hands to the floor. Take a few breaths, whether you're swaying or shaking that head or holding elbows here. Bend your knees enough. You can bring your hands to the floor, walk your feet back into a down dog. Lower both knees. So I'm getting ready to take us through a progression here, a core and upper body strength. And I'm going to start with the simplest variation, and then I'm going to add challenge each time. It gets pretty hard towards the end, so don't be surprised if you're not doing the final version that I'm showing you. And if you need to rest at any time, and if you need to do something completely different, please feel free. So this is going to be coming from either hands and knees to a side plank, or from down dog to a variation of side plank. So it's called the final version of this is called fallen warrior pose. So if you're going from hands and knees, which is what I'm going to demonstrate here, we are going to sweep the the right leg up and back, and maybe even do that little leg lift, the chest coming forward. And then as you exhale, lower this knee and the shin down towards the floor. We're going to bring the left leg to the back of the mat, sole of the foot down, left arm up. So here we are in that side plank. Let's come back to hands and knees. So I'll show you that again, or you could do it with me again. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, knee and shin down, left foot at the back of the mat, left arm up. All right, bring that down. Okay, so you could do something similar from down dog. So I'll show you here, join if you want, or stay hands and knees. So it's down dog. And then we are coming into right leg up, three-legged down dog. Exhale, bring that knee forward. Lower the knee and shin. Come into that side plank. Hand down, right leg up, three-legged down dog. Right, so you could do that. Pull the knee in, maybe lower the knee and shin, or maybe you pivot on that left foot, sweep that right leg across to the left arm up. Hand down, right leg up and back. All right, so pull in, maybe knee down, or sweep that right leg off to the left. Foot come down. I'm going to do one more here, and actually I'll do two more. Now you could lower the foot here or float it. All right, one more. Dealer's choice. All right, lower the knees, lower the hands. I guess the hand, well, yeah, both hands there. Find a resting position. Maybe it's child's or puppy. Maybe you sit back or stand on the knee, shake out those wrists, roll the shoulders. So there's a lot going on there. A lot of shoulder stabilization happening, a lot of core work, hip strength, pivoting on the feet, lots going on. All right, so we're going to do that same progression. If you're like, Laura, I know exactly where I want to go with this one, you could go straight towards it. Or hands and knees here again. Lift that left leg up, maybe chest forward. Lower the knee and shin. Right foot to the back of the mat, right arm up. Here's a knee down side plank. Lowering down. Again, left leg up. Lower knee and shin. Right foot at the back of the mat, right arm up. Come on down. So you could stay, knees down, or down dog, left leg up. You'll end up in the same place, knee and shin down, right foot down, right arm up. So you could go there into that knee down side plank, left leg up, or shoot the left leg to the right. Maybe the outside of the left foot is on the ground, right arm up. Let's do a couple or three more. You could do whatever variation. Maybe that left leg floats as you come into that fallen warrior as opposed to resting on the ground. All right. Lower the knees. Find child's or puppy, or sit back and rest. Maybe block on your forehead here. Take a few breaths. So my breathing is coming a little faster here. After doing that, it's hard to cue do that at the same time. See if you can start to slow the breathing down again. Once you've come back to something that's a little closer to the breathing we started at the beginning of the practice, return to your intention, your reason for showing up, person you're dedicating your practice to. You could stay here longer, resting more, coming back to that intention, finding the breath. Or if you're ready, You're going to come up to sit, coming into this kind of side saddle position. So I'm going to sit with my feet off to the right. And if you want to face the long edge of the mat, so inner knee and ankles are padded, feel free. So feet are off to the right. I'm going to turn my torso a little towards that left knee and bring both hands down here around that knee, maybe a little bit forward of it. And I'm going to do a little lowering and lifting of my torso. So I'm going to lower the belly towards the thigh and then the chest, and then bring the head down towards the floor. And then almost like a cat pose, I'm going to lift my middle back up, and then my head comes up. So laying the belly down, the chest down, the face towards the floor, and then I lift that middle back and then lift the head. So inhale, lowering down, exhale, rounding it back up. So one option is to keep that flowing movement. Or next time you come down, pause. Maybe you bring your forearms down here. Maybe you stack your hands or fist under the forehead or slide a yoga block there. So you might be feeling a little outer hip stretch, buttock stretch here on the left. This is a variation of pigeon pose. If you want to feel a little bit more, pull that left shin and foot forward a little bit. It's a little too much for me, so I keep it tucked in. And there's always the more traditional version of pigeon, where you square your hips towards the floor. You won't see me doing that version of the pose because my hips are a little tighter. And I can force myself in that position, but I typically have sacroiliac joint problems for the next 3 to 7 days after doing it. So it is definitely not worth it for me. Some of you might really enjoy that deeper stretch. Staying here longer or pressing yourself up. I'm just leaning away from the legs, coming into a quad stretch. So I'm going to bend that right knee, reach back and find the foot here with the hand. And just note, if the foot is coming up, see if you can bring that heel a little closer to the center of the buttocks. It doesn't have to be pulled in tight, but just so that it's not towards the outer hip so much. This could be enough quad stretch, or come down on your forearm here. Maybe you slide the thigh back. All of that's going to add a little bit more quad stretch, opening on the front of the hip, thigh. If it's too much pressure on the knee, then maybe you need to come back up or bring that foot away from you a little bit. This is a variation of a quad stretch. This may not be your favorite one, so certainly feel free to change it to something else that does work for you. We'll release that foot, rise up, and swivel the feet off to the left. So here's this pinwheel pigeon version here first. So we're going to bring our hands around that right knee, maybe a little bit forward of it. You could come up on fingertips here. Sometimes it's a little less pushy here. So we're going to lower the belly towards the thigh, the chest towards the floor, and then the head comes down. And then we're pressing up, middle back coming up, and then lift the head. So we inhale, kind of laying the belly, the chest, the head towards the floor. And then we round it back up on the exhale. And do a few more. So there's a fluid wave-like movement happening here in the spine and the torso. And it might feel good to keep that movement going. Or when you lay that belly down, pausing here, maybe you come down to your forearms or hands or stacked fists under forehead. This is a great place for the yoga block. Take a few breaths here. Remember your other options. You could always bring this right foot a little bit more forward to feel more stretch in that right buttocks, outer hip. You can always straighten the back leg, square the hips towards the floor for more
traditional pigeon and a deeper hip stretch. But keep in mind that more stretch is not always better. More sensation of stretch or pain is not always better. And especially if you're very limber, you tend to be hyper flexible and you have a hard time actually feeling stretch. Pushing yourself too far can actually start to damage the hip joint, the ligaments around the joint, and the hip joint and the sacroiliac joints. So sometimes it doesn't feel like stretch, it feels like more of an openness on the right buttocks, outer hip. That's usually for those of you who are more flexible. I am not in that group. When you're ready, rising back up. We keep those legs swept off to the left. Lean on that right hand. Here's our quad stretch of the left foot. You could stay here. You could come down to the forearm. You could slide that leg back. Take a few breaths. Let that foot go. We're making our way onto our belly. I'm going to use a thin layer of blanket here to pad my pubic bone, hip bones. That's just a preference because we're actually kind of pressing the pubic bones into the floor here. We're doing this belly down back bend. If this doesn't work for you, if you tend to cramp or spasm in the lower back, if you have arthritis or stenosis of the lumbar spine, I would recommend coming on your back and doing bridge pose instead. I am coming into this locust pose here with the arms out to the sides in a T. I'm going to be specific with the arm position, so I want you to place your arms so the thumbs are up, palms forward, thumbs up. Tailbone lengthening towards the feet, so you feel pubic bone pressing into the floor. On your inhale, lift the head, chest, the arms. The shoulder blades move towards the spine. Option to raise the legs here too. And then we exhale, lower. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift. Keep the tailbone lengthening away from the head. Exhale, lower. Keep the neck long. So instead of looking straight forward, you're looking forward and down. One more here. Exhale, lower. You can bring your arms forward, resting the head. Maybe a little hip wiggle here, releasing through the low back and the buttocks. So that arm position with the thumbs up, working a set of muscles between the shoulder blades, and then working two of your four rotator cuff muscles here. So remember I was saying rotator cuff muscles are really strong, stabilizing muscles for the ball and socket joint of the shoulder. I'm going to do a second set of these. Arms out to the sides again. This time thumbs down, palms face back. Tailbone towards the feet. Inhale, lift the head, chest, lift the arms, shoulder blade squeezing, maybe leg lift, and then we exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, shoulder blades towards each other. Exhale, lower. We're going to do a couple more. Now I'm working a third one of the four rotator cuff muscles here, and a different upper back muscle. Those upper back muscles are also strong shoulder joint stabilizers. Lowering down, hands could come forward, bend your knees, rock the legs side to side. Shoulder pain, rotator cuff problems, those can be some good strengthening movements. We added core and back into it. So it's not just shoulder. Rolling onto your back. Pulling the knees in towards your chest. Gently rocking, circling here. Drop the knees towards one side, arms out. And you don't have to keep the knees hugged in, so if the legs straighten a little bit. You need a prop under the knees or in between for this to feel like more ease, feel free. Gaze towards the ceiling or head gently turned away from your legs. Elbows could be straight or sometimes bending the elbows feels good here too. Pull the knees in towards you, belly button towards spine to bring the knees back up, maybe a few rocks here, and drop the legs over to the other side. Any options you want with this, maybe perhaps here to support you. Gaze towards the ceiling, your head gently turning away from the legs. Find some ease in your body, ease in the breath. Pull the knees in, belly button towards spine to bring the knees up through center. Maybe a gentle hug in or find a happy baby. Maybe there's a different hip stretch that you'd like to do here or something else to add to the practice. Feel free to add it in here. Before we wrap up with our Shavasana, our relaxation pose, and thinking about how you'd like to position yourself for Shavasana, for relaxation. It could be just a simple lying on your back. Maybe you involve some props for the lower body or even the arms or roll underneath the neck. But find where you can rest, where you're not feeling strain or even an impulse to engage or tighten muscles or the least amount of impulse to engage or tighten that you can. Once you're there, you can take an inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, letting out a sigh. Maybe you could do that again. Let the breath go, allowing your body to rest. Been working, we've been concentrating, we've been focusing on connecting breath and movement. Let all of that go. Release it all. When you rest, that knowledge that you've gained, whether it's this cognitive cerebral knowledge or whether it's more movement patterns or motor patterns, these things sort of solidify when we rest. So give yourself the next few minutes just to be, feel supported by the earth.
You're invited to stay here, rest for longer. But if you're ready to move on with your day, start to deepen your breath. Bring in some gentle movements of the fingers, the toes, the wrists, the ankles, maybe joints in a little closer to the body, elbows, shoulders, knees, hips. If a full body stretch would feel good, legs out, arms overhead. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, let it go. Bend the knees, roll to your side. Pause for a moment here on your side. Support the head. Appreciating your body, your breath, your health, and your yoga practice. Pressing up to a seated position. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice, your energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions.